Welcome back, boys and girls, to Math Expressions with Miss Hasty. Today we're doing lesson 6-8, part 2, looking at too much or too little information in our story problems. So you need to be in your activity book, page 263 and 264 is what we're going to be working on today. And again, too much or too little information, solving word problems. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to get to 263 and we can begin. Let's go ahead and read our directions here. Solve each problem if possible. If a problem has too much information, identify the extra information. If a problem has too little information, describe the information that is needed to solve the problem. Okay, here we go. Mealing is reading a 228-page book. Yesterday, she read the first 41 pages of the book. Today, she read the next 13 pages. Her goal tomorrow is to read 10 pages. How many pages of the book have not been read as of today? Well, we know the amount of the book. We know how many pages it is. We know how many pages she read so far and how many she's reading today. We have some information here. Her goal is to read 10 pages tomorrow. We don't need that. So the answer to number 20, what information is not needed, is the 10 pages that she's reading tomorrow we don't need. Okay? We don't need that information to answer the question. So what information is needed to solve the problem? We know that today she read 13. And yesterday she read 41. The total of the book is 228. So we're going to take our 41, and our 13, add those together, subtract them from the 28 pages. That's what we need to know. And that's going to give us how many pages have not been read. And your total would be 174 pages that she has not read. Okay, moving on to the next one. The students in Mr. Westgate's class have been arranged in equal groups for an activity. There are 4 students in each group. How many students are participating in the activity? Well, I'm going to give you a moment to think about that because there is not enough information here. What do we need to know? Okay, so we know that he has arranged them in equal groups, and we know there's 4 students in each group, but we don't know how many groups. We don't know how many groups. We only know how many students in each group. Okay, so that's missing information for that problem. Next one, to prepare for a math test, Kelsey studied for 1/2 hour, Lila studied for 3/4 of an hour, Ricardo studied for 1/3 of an hour, and Marcus studied for 1 hour. Did Marcus study longer than the combined times of Ricardo and Kelsey? So in this situation, we have some information that is in the problem that we don't really need to solve the problem. Okay, what information is not needed? We don't need to know Lila's. She studied for 3/4 of an hour. We don't need to know that to solve this problem. So what information is needed? Well, we needed Kelsey's, and Kelsey studied for 1/2 hour, and we needed Ricardo's. Okay, Ricardo studied for 1/3 of an hour. We need to add those 2 together. Okay, figure out how much it is that both of them studied together. And that's 5/6 of an hour. And how Marcus studied longer than the combined teams. And yes, he did, because he studied for an hour, and 5/6 of an hour is less than an hour. Okay? All right, moving on to the next page. 264. More problem solving. Gotta give it a minute to come up. Here we go. Solve each problem, if possible. If a problem has too much information, circle the extra information, so that's what we're going to do. If a problem has too little information, describe the information that is needed to solve the problem. So let's go through these together. Number 25, a wallpaper border. Remember, a border, wallpaper border around the edges, is being pasted on the walls of a rectangular room that measures 12 feet by 14.5 feet. The cost of the border is $6.50 per foot. How many feet of border is needed for the room? Okay, there is some extra information here because it's asking us how much border we need. So this is a perimeter problem. To figure out how much we need, we're going to take that 14.5 plus 14.5 plus 12 plus 12. That's going to give you how much border we need, and your label is going to be feet. But the cost of the border, we don't need to know that, how much it is per foot, because that's not the information to answer the problem. Okay? So when you calculate all of that together, let me turn my page here, you are going to get 53 feet of border. If you didn't get 53 feet of border, go ahead and look back and see where your error is. Number 26, Miss Blaylaven has 11 windows in her house. The heights in centimeters of 4 windows are 160.2 centimeters, 163 centimeters, 155.9 centimeters, and 158.5 centimeters. How many windows in her house have a height that is a whole number of centimeters? Well, altogether she has 11 windows and we only know 4 of them. We don't know all of the windows. So this one has missing information. We need to know all of the windows to be able to answer that question. Okay, number 27. Anya has worked at her job for 6.5 years. Each year she works 48 weeks, and each week she works 37.5 hours. How many hours does Anya work each year? Okay, this is another situation where we don't need to know that she works 6.5 years to answer the question how much she works each year. So you're going to take your 48 weeks times 37.5, and that's going to give you how many hours she works each year. Okay? And when you calculate that, you should get 1,800 hours. So do the math. Here you have to turn this 37.5 into an improper fraction. 37 times 2 plus 1 over 2. And then you can multiply numerator, numerator, denominator, denominator, and turn it back into a whole number. 28. During a driving vacation, a car was refueled 5 times. At the beginning of the vacation, the car odometer read 19,417 miles and read 21,068 miles at the end of the vacation. How many gallons of fuel were needed to drive that number of miles? Well, it said it was refueled 5 times, but we don't know how many gallons went in each time. Okay, so there's not enough information. We don't know the amount of fuel each time. We just know how many times. So that is missing information. Let's go ahead and do our check for understanding here. This goes back to part 1 of 6-8. What is the total cost of an 89-cent notebook and 8 pencils that cost 15 cents each? Well, here's our notebook, but in parentheses, we are going to have our 8 pencils at 15 cents each. So do your work in parentheses first, add it to the 89 cents, and for a total, you should get $2.09. Okay, that concludes our activity for 6-8 part 2. Let's go ahead to our homework side and go through those story problems. You did the remembering side in part 1. So let's go ahead and look at homework side. And if you struggled on the stretch you're thinking, on the homework side for 6-8. Hopefully after this lesson that will help you out a little bit, okay? Here we go. Gotta get the spectacles out here again. Okay, solve each problem if possible. If a problem does not have enough information, write the information that is needed to solve the problem. Here we go. Number 1, at the school bookstore, Quinn purchased a binder for $4.75 and 4 pens for 79 cents each. What is Quinn's total cost? Okay, so we have a binder. Give it a moment to come back up. It kind of falls asleep. $4.75 plus, now in parentheses, because we need to have a separate operation here, we're going to do 4 pens at 79 cents. So you're going to take your 475 plus, after you get your answer 4 times 0.79, you're going to get your total amount, and that is going to be a label of dollars. You can check your answers at the end of the day when I post it on the classroom website. Number 2, a school bus has 12 rows of seats and 4 students can be seated in each row. How many students are riding the bus if 11 rows are filled with students and 2 students are riding in the 12th row? Okay, well, we know we have 11 full rows and 4 students fit in a full row. And then we have 2 in the 12th row. Okay, so go ahead and add that, multiply and add. And our label, how many students? That's going to be your label. Okay, number 3. A group of 16 friends visited an amusement park. When they arrived, 3/4 of the friends wanted to ride the fastest roller coaster first. How many friends wanted to ride? So 3/4 times the 16 friends. So 3/4 of the 16. Make sure that you put your whole number over 1. Simplify first if you can. And label your answer. How many friends? 4. Zeke is shipping clerk for a large business. Today he spent 90 minutes preparing boxes for shipping. 1 box weighed 10 pounds and 7 boxes weighed 3.5 pounds. What's the total weight of the boxes? Well, we have the 1 standalone box at 10 pounds, but then we have 7 at 3.5 pounds. So that's going to go in parentheses. So 7 times our 3.5, turn that into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 plus 1 over 2. Do your multiplication, add, and what is the total weight? Well, what is the weight in our problem? It's in pounds, so that should be your label. Number 5, a middle school facility parking lot has 3 rows of parking spaces with 13 spaces in each row and 1 row of 7 spaces. How many vehicles can be parked in the faculty lot? Well, there are 3 rows with 13 spaces, so we're going to put that in parentheses, and then 1 row of 7, so add the 7. And how many vehicles is your label? That's what you're solving, and that's going to give you your answer. Okay, last problem here. Rochelle's homework always consists of worksheets. Last night, the average amount of time she needed to complete each worksheet was 15 minutes. How much time did Rochelle spend completing worksheets last night? Well, we know it's 15 minutes each worksheet. We don't know how many worksheets, so we can't solve that problem. Not enough information. How many worksheets? Okay? All right, boys and girls, that concludes 6-8 Part 2. So I hope you have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.